Uh, Life is very interesting, and most likely, most of the times people like to say, uh, nothing can change me. Like, how can I be changed by that thing? But you even speaking about you not being able to change, that exact time of you speaking that you are already changing, and you are not the same as the person you were before you spoke that. Every moment that passes, every second that passes, influences and changes everything in our life. Every time that passes, we are no longer the same person. Our attitude changes every second that passes. We improve every second that passes. And that's what makes it very fun and interesting. Life at large, people change every second that passes. That's why the life in the first place had to have rules in order to have us to stay in a way we were supposed to stay, or in a way that could be able to control our rapid change. Change is good, but at times change can also be dangerous. That's why everything that is not controllable, or everything that cannot be controlled, is always a danger. And also, it's not a must that everything has to be controlled, because we don't know what the outcomes are. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what will be the outcome, because there was no real fact. We don't know what the world is going to. We don't know where the world is going. And in the end, all I can say is that no one can predict whatever is coming in the future. But whatever we do influences what is coming in the future. So that's why we always have to think rightly and correctly before we do anything. Ever since when I was young, I didn't truly believe that there was life after death. But again, what is the purpose of me living and doing everything I'm doing here if when I die, that's where my life is gonna end? What could be the real purpose? Because even though we say there is no God, then what led to the creation of all of us human beings? And then when we say what led to the creation of all of us human beings, that means we were created because of a certain purpose. But what could that purpose be? And then you see yourselves, look through all the other living things and everything that has life. Soil, as we see it, is like an outcome of every living organisms that has ever existed in life and that has died. That's why at times I think about science, because it says one cell. I don't know about it so much, but all I can say, they say that one cell started with one cell, then one cell multiplied into two, and like that continuously. And I believe in that because you see all the land that keeps on increasing, everything that keeps on increasing. The fact that all the life on earth will one time or at one point cease to exist is a wrong thought people have really had. I don't know, maybe my thought may be wrong, but what I think, it may be a wrong thought. Because when you think about it, in a way I've thought about it with my thoughts, like when I thought about it, I was like, if everything that is on earth is because of all the living things that have lived and died on earth, that's why we have all this land that is huge. This is why we have all this. And then also, if I come to say life may not cease to exist, I may also be wrong, because when you think about it, why is it that other planets don't have life as we are, or as they have told us? Like, they even don't look closer to Earth. Could it just because Could it just be because the main source of energy and the main source of life on Earth is maybe the sun? I don't know much about biology and all that, but I think it's the sun. Could that be an issue, that the reason why we don't see life being on other planets like it is on Earth? Could it be the effect from the sun? Oh, there are very many theories. Let's run them down. Could it be a reason that some life that was on that kind of planets had reached the moment and it did not exist anymore? And then if we are to go even in more further funny stuff, we could say, what if life as we see it in our galaxy is just cells trying to multiply? Or is it just a multiplication of cells? Could we also be part of a certain organism or a certain living being that we exist in one of its cells called the Earth? And that brings us to one point also. If all this is so huge, that means we are also under or inside, or we may be inside another kind of living thing. I don't know, my theories are very stupid, but it's just funny to explore them. Like, we may be living under another kind of living being. But what is our purpose in it? What was the real purpose of all this? Because if we don't, and we were just created, and this thing that created us is beyond the life we live in, then what could be the main purpose of creating us? Because when we see, what do humans do? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to solve? What is really into us? Errors. Humans are full of errors. So much errors. And the problem that humans have refused to acknowledge the small things. I believe all this at large, as humans, we were not meant to own this, and as living things, or as things that have life, we were never meant to own anything. We just decide to. Like, lions can decide to take over a kind of land, and it is theirs, and it's theirs only, and that's where they hunt. And if any other kind of lion or animal wants to take over that, then they have to fight for that. So at times I'm like, the error may not be in humans only, because humans, we want always to think about ourselves only as the only beings in the whole earth, but that's ignoring the fact that we are not the only beings. There are even beings that are so tiny but live in a different kind of life that we may not be able to understand. We believe we are all knowing, like we are the most intelligent, but we may not be the most intelligent of the living organisms that are on Earth. We may not be, because have we got to understand how insects understand? The fact that we are good at creating stuff, that doesn't mean that we are the most intelligent kind of beings on Earth. We like calling and relating to intelligence in a way we bring out the intelligence. So everything in life, we put it onto ourselves. That's why I really don't believe in a thing of I don't really believe in religion, and I'm not in any of those religions. It's not that I really argue with them. It's not that I have a problem with them, but it has really been difficult for me to put all those beliefs into something I call truth. Because let's imagine Christians. They say God all the living things and whatever, and rules, commandments, and everything. But everything that is in the Bible doesn't really talk about how we should preserve the world at large. It doesn't really talk about how we should care about other animals at large. It only specifies us as the supreme, and it talks about us having the power to do whatever we want on earth, and that's what is causing a lot of issues. We were not, and we are not meant to do whatever we want with the earth. We just have to do what is necessary for us to survive, and that's the only thing that we were supposed to do. Everything that we were meant to create was to preserve earth and make it more accessible to the next beings. And I think if we were to do that, it would unlock a lot of opportunities and unlock a kind of seeing different from the way we see the life at large, And people are trying to solve everything in the world, and they're like saying, even though we stop, because like when I tried to look through it, it's not that I got a lot of information, but with the information I got to know, people are trying to solve the problem of the weather, future problems that are going to occur, but we even haven't yet found problems, or we haven't even solved the problems in ourselves. We also have problems. We haven't yet solved the problem of us being jealous of others. Why should we be jealous of the others? And why do you have to be better than the other? Because it's not, we have been created. I won't say it's not bad, or it's good, or it's bad. I won't do anything, but to what I wanted to say, to what to how I've got to think about it. Why do we have to all do this in the first place? Why do we have to grind to become the strongest? Why? If we are the most intelligent, why do we have to fight like the animals in the world? Why do we have to be like wild animals? Why do we have to do that? Because if we are so intelligent, then we get to understand ourselves more. That's what we had to figure out first. We keep on disconnecting with each other. We keep on ruining each other's lives, And because people are short-minded, they always think in the thing that is going to come next. What are they going to achieve in the next few days? And when you think about it deeply, you will do something that will cause issues to another person's life, traumatize them, and make their life worse. Because as I told you in the beginning, everything that happens in life changes you as a human being at large. You may not be able to see it eventually, but as time goes on and as things pile up, you will get to realize that you have really changed in a way that you didn't expect yourself changing. Most of the times people say, I have changed just because of this big thing that happened to me. No, that big thing just accelerated the change. Now imagine if you were if you are changing 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, and then eventually you face a problem when you had changed to 40%, and that big problem or that situation is so huge in a way that it will put an impact of 30% change. Just because people don't think deeply, and people tend to don't really think about these things, because all what people care about is themselves, how they're going to be happy, how they're going to rule, how they're going to get a lot of money, how they're going to show off, But if you think about it, we change every minute. And that means if you change every minute, that means if you do anything to someone, it's also changing him in a way you won't be able to realize now. But as time goes on, you may find yourself having changed very many people's lives without you noticing that. you know. And that's why I said the person who created, this is just my thoughts, the person who brought religion into this world, I really appreciate that person. You know, I don't know, whatever brought the religion into this world, whatever brought the systems like governments, leaderships, things like that, no matter how corrupt they are still so good in a way that people won't realize. You know, they are so good and so perfect that they are keeping us in a way. If you're thinking about it like so deeply, like on where I think about it in my thoughts, this is not true, I'm just relating. You get to know that religion can make you successful. That's first. Religion almost has everything figured out, like has every component that could make someone become down. They have even paved way to tell us what should be emotions, what shouldn't be emotions, what should be sadness, what shouldn't be sadness, what should be happiness, what shouldn't be happiness. All that in one. They have even put fear into humans. Some humans are not controllable. They even don't have control over their lives. So if they don't have something that puts them under control, do you know how much chaos that brings in it? Because no matter how we want to improve this world, if we cannot get to a level where we have managed to embrace the fact that, as we say, that we are the supreme beings, we should act like one. Where there is no fact of we should do whatever we want. We should do whatever we want if it doesn't affect the world and it doesn't affect other people. You can. But if you know you're gonna kill yourself and make other people get tortured and make other people go through bad things in life, you don't need to do that. You know? And that's why I'm like, at times, this thing of us wanting the freedom of speech, freedom to do whatever we want, it's not bad. It's only good if you are going to do whatever you want that won't impact other people in a very bad way. You know? And also, when you think about that, there is no way you can stop that. Because even though you say you're going to do good things, this is why I said the world is very interesting. That's why it has really been very hard for me to connect with people, because my thoughts run so fast and I always go through other deep theories that may encounter in my thoughts. I can like think for the whole week with just eating, then going back to thoughts, eating, then going back to thoughts, you know. And when you think about it, I was back on the point. You cannot simply do all perfect, because this world itself was not created to be perfect. You know, when you think about it, because no matter how good you do, if it influences other people or if it influences any living thing, no matter how small it may be, no matter how small you may think it is, if you stop doing those good things, if those people have not yet got to understand some things about this world, that will put a very negative bad effect on them, in a way that if you raise a kid in a very good life, it's not bad. That's what we want for all our kids, you know. But if you raise them in a very good life and they get used to that good life, and eventually the person who was giving them that good life leaves, it will always cause sadness, and it will also cause a very high level percentage of change, and that may impact someone's life. To some people who are so weak emotionally, I don't know how to to call it, I'll just call them weak. They may even try to like follow those people to go die with them. But why do you do that? Because eventually you're gonna die. No matter how fast we try to speed up our death, we all gonna die. We don't, as humans, we try to like ignore that. And I don't want to talk about that because whenever I speak about it, it brings me to a point where I'm like, do we really have a value in life? And when I also think about that, I'm like, if we don't have a value in life, then why not create our own value? But then what value do you want to create in life? All I can say is the world is so complicated, and these are just my thoughts, though. Just my thoughts. Whenever I'm there, I just want to think. And for the first time, I wanted to like bring my thoughts out and try to like post them, you know. If there's anyone there out, or if there's anyone out there with the same thoughts like mine, I would really appreciate, and we can connect up, share up. Let's imagine together, you know. I'm a person who is so lonely most of the times, and because of my thoughts and the way I see the world and the way I relate with people, and I won't say I'm intelligent. I'm not intelligent, but with whatever I have, it's really very hard for me to connect with people because I can really see through them so much, so deeply, in a way that I really find no value in someone. I can really see when someone doesn't really see any value in me. I can just see it out. And as a person like me, when you reach when I reach to this level, okay, I will always relate to myself because these are just my thoughts, my beliefs, my character, and everything. So forgive me whenever I say as people, you know. But as me, I reach to a state where I'm like, in this life, no matter how you force things, if those people you want to force them upon, or if anything you want to force yourself upon doesn't want to force themselves upon you too, then you will have to be ready to embrace the fact that give them all you have. If they don't give it all to you back, you don't have to get angry. You just have to know that, okay, maybe they have picked interest in something else. Then maybe you can try to pick interest in something else too, you know? Or just give them space. If they really find it more interesting when they're with you, they'll come back. It's not really a problem. Like, we just have to embrace it, you know? To all fellow people who are lonely there, I believe, why not change the world? Because if the world doesn't want to change and come to us, why don't we change and then come to ourselves? I was thinking of like, if there is anyone there out who is lonely, who is stressed, who wants to talk to someone, why not come and we talk together? Why can't we build a community where we talk together, talk whatever we want, we converse with whatever we want? But remember, we have to know that we do our best to give ourselves happiness, you know? If something is not really going out well with you, I understand. It's very hard to really try to make things work because it will enable a lot of determination. And even though you may be so determined and you put all the effort and it doesn't still work, but there is no problem with that. There is no problem with that. You just have to smile, be happy at yourself that you tried. Then if it failed, then try again. You know, so I'm here. If anyone wants to, or if anyone had similar thoughts like mine, or if anyone had something he wanted to share or talk about, or if anyone there wanted to talk to some people, we can connect and talk to ourselves. If the world doesn't want to hear you out, then that's no problem. I understand that. That's no problem. But I'm here. If you can hear this, we can connect up and see how we can talk to each other. What that be said? Yep. These are just my thoughts. The green light thoughts.